welcome to the second part of this session, how participating in a conference can help your study and career. I'm Phil Lang, Placements Coordinator in the Department of Biology and a member of the Learning and Teaching Forum, and I'm joined by Charlie.
Hi everyone. Yeah, I work with Phil in the placements team. I'm a placements coordinator in the Department of Politics, and as Phil said, hoping to put in a proposal as well with Phil shortly.
Fantastic. Okay, so as you've seen, as has been covered, so the conference theme is the Changing University. Obviously, that covers a huge amount. We're going to be talking a little bit more about delivering a session and how to reflect on and promote the activity and make the most of it.
Okay, well, we thought it'd be great just to start off by getting some opinion from you. So over the next couple of minutes, if you could just take a moment to pop into the chat how you think actually taking part in the conference might be a benefit to you, based around two areas which we've highlighted so far, so around your current studies and also in terms of your future career. So if you just take a moment to pop that in the chat, and then we'll reflect on that and give you some further reasons in a moment. Okay, so we start off by getting some feedback on research and ideas and further things to think about through questions from Nina. Really good point. Yeah, definitely agree with that. Has anyone else got any ideas in terms of your current studies or your future career? So Tristan's given us develop transferable skills. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, developing skills, providing an insight into academia. These are all really good reasons, definitely. And Stephen said, attended the conference in 2013, saved his PhD and gave him the confidence he ended up getting published. So that whole kind of career development piece. Okay, Phil, shall we move on to the next slide? So yeah, just to reiterate, here are some really good reasons to get involved. And we've talked about a few of these already through Louise and Stephen's presentations, but essentially it's a really good opportunity to learn and be collaborative with other people. That whole idea of submitting a proposal with other people is a great way to be collaborative. And essentially, as we've already talked about, it's a really safe space, this conference is, to test and develop your ideas. You know who the audience is, and it's a great way to share that experience. It's going to help you build and develop your confidence in public speaking, which is a really important skill if you're looking at a career in academia in the future. And it will essentially, as we've said, speaking at a conference means you're attending the conference, and that's going to help you develop your network. Louise mentioned that we're going to be building in these breakout spaces, which will still give you the opportunity, even in a virtual environment, to meet other people. You're going to start helping you feel that you're an expert in your field, and in terms of your research, talking about it in public space helps you to develop that confidence in that area. And you're going to meet other people that share your research interests along the way. And critically, it's a great opportunity to give back and play your part in expanding in the field of academia in your discipline. And essentially at the end, it's going to be a clear and measurable thing that you can put on your CV and help you move on to the next experience, which we'll talk about a bit more in a moment.
Okay, so this next slide, this is taken from Target Jobs. There are lots of other places where you can find this kind of information. Another example is the World Economic Forum, where you'll talk about skills that graduates, recruiters look for. This is probably fairly self-explanatory, but these are kind of things that will come up in a lot of different jobs, wherever you're working, whatever the next step of your career is, whether that's further study, a research job, or something completely different. These are skills that will come up a great deal, and participating in a conference is a good way to demonstrate a lot of these skills. So just to take one example at the top, communication, obviously that's very broad, but it does cover a lot of things that you'll be doing. If you're collaborative, working together with someone, that's very communicative. Obviously the presentation aspect is really big, and personally I feel that that's something that is really good to be good at. Practice makes perfect, and if you can make yourself a really competent or excellent public speaker, then that is a really good thing, and will help you in all areas of work in your future career. Things like leadership, motivation, these kind of things are also demonstrated, I think, in participating in a conference. So key skills, and these are things that you can build and critically demonstrate by your participation in the conference.
Okay, and just some tips for you, building on that presentation piece. If you are putting together a presentation, you can become more confident at it just by practicing and getting used to talking about the topic. So we'd really encourage you to practice before you go, just again to be as good as you can. Time your presentation, make sure that it fits within the remit. 10 minutes can fly by quite quickly, so it's important just to practice that several times in advance, ideally with some sort of audience as well. Keep your technology as simple as possible, and keep your slides simple too. Take your time when you're speaking, so just again practicing, how does it sound, how does it come out, does that fit within the time frame? And if people are asking you questions, really see that as a good sign. It shows that people are interested in what you're talking about and interested in what you are presenting on.
Okay, the next slide is a very short clip. It's 20 seconds. Hopefully my settings will be correct on the share and you'll be able to see it. I'll just play this and then talk about it for a second.
Well, Lisa, I finished my resume.
I think it needs a little padding.
What are you putting in there?
Up, 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 when I'm done.
Chauffeur, seamstress, curator of large mammals.
Marge, have you seen my lunchbox?
Oh, I see.
Mom, they expect you to.
Okay, so The Queen's Gambit on Netflix, my lockdown equivalent is probably The Simpsons on Disney Plus, which my children have become obsessed with. So that was just a little way to demonstrate that you should make the most of what you do. Perhaps don't go quite as far as this clip would suggest, but there can be a tendency to be modest, to underplay the things that you've done. And obviously a CV, an application, an interview isn't the place for that. You should pick yourself up and talk very positively about everything you've done as much as possible. Okay, Charlie.
Okay, thanks, Phil. Yeah, so the next slide is just really about thinking about what comes next and seeing this conference as a stepping stone in your career development. And the best way to go about doing that is by reflecting afterwards. So once you've taken part in the conference, make the most of the experience, reflect on it and consider your next steps beyond that and ask yourself some questions. So what went well? What did you enjoy? What played to your strengths? What could be improved for the next time that you present your research? What have you gained in terms of future connections and skills, and how might you use these as a stepping stone for the future, and what actions would be needed to take there? And all of this fits really nicely in with a career theory that we talk about in the careers world quite often, called Planned Happenstance, which was developed by Professor John Kromboltz at Stanford University. And this is all about just engaging with opportunities. And even if you're not quite sure where they're going to take you, just by engaging with experiences and being active and mixing with other people at these kinds of opportunities, you're going to create opportunities for yourself in the future, and then good things will just continue to roll on. Your career will develop, and this opportunity is very much one stepping stone on that journey. Okay, Phil. And again, just building up, next slide's just about how you might pop this onto your CV afterwards. So reflect, be concise on your CV, highlight the skills that you've used, and use active language to describe those when you're highlighting this as an experience on your CV. So positive ad words to describe what you've done. So you've designed something, you've delivered something, you've presented something, you've showcased some research, you've facilitated some discussion. It's all about using as strong language as you can when you're describing that. And we have really good programs at the university, such as CareerSet, which you can use to get feedback on your CV, and that's certainly something Phil and I could pop into the follow-up from this activity that you could use in the future.
Okay, so moving on to something that you might talk about in an application or an interview. So the CAR method, it's very similar to STAR, which you might have heard. So CAR is context, action, result. Sometimes it's referred to as challenge, action, result. I think that's more of an Americanism, perhaps. And then STAR, situation, task, action, result. It's more or less the same thing. It's a very good way to construct a response to an application or interview question, especially something that's competency based. So C's for context. What was the challenge? What needed to be done? Where and when? Action. What did you do? Always focus on yourself. So quite often it's natural to talk about we, especially if you're working in a team. Obviously that's fine, but in this kind of application or interview situation, you want to talk about your role and what specifically you did. And result. So if you can find an outcome, quite often that will be seen as improved sales by this %, something like that. You may not be able to have something so obvious, but maybe in a piece of academic work, you got a good result. Maybe that was the result was that you learned something new that you can take forward into your future work and your future career, that kind of thing. So a lot of competency-based questions will be, tell us about a time when you demonstrated this skill or you overcame a challenge, something like that. So if you just look at this and look at the questions in relation to, for example, participating in a conference, what's the challenge? What do you need to overcome to get there? Why are you interested? You can talk about that kind of thing. The actions, obviously attending this is one thing, planning the conference, the collaboration, all of that would come across really well in an application or interview. And then the result, clearly it hasn't happened yet, but hopefully you'll be able to have a positive result, a successful conference, and maybe the effects on your network or your profile will improve as well. So on that, I'm just going to talk for the last minute or two. I realize we don't have much time, just a little bit about LinkedIn. This may be something that you're well versed in, it may not. But LinkedIn obviously is a big deal, and it's a great way to get yourself out there and to get yourself known, build your network, showcase what you've done. Just some information on this slide. Obviously, it's lots of members. I'm sure this information is already out of date, but it's a really good place to get on. So if you haven't already, please do sign up for an account, add a professional photo. Generally head and shoulders is best. Avoid things like, this is probably obvious again, but you down the pub or on the beach, unless that's a particular industry you're working in and there's a reason for it. Change your URL to something that contains your own name. So you should be able to see that, edit public profile and URL. So instead of a bunch of numbers, you have your name. It's very good for your identity, and fill in as much as possible. And again, like you would talk about in a CV or application, use positive, active language and perhaps some keywords that might be help somebody to find you. And finally, number 5 on the slide is interact. So connect with people one-to-one. My experience is that people are happy to connect if there's a reason. Engage with relevant groups. So many groups on LinkedIn that you could engage with. Like and comment, and then possibly post your own, put your own posts on there, basically, for example, about a conference. So before and after the conference, you can talk about your personal story and getting to this point, promote the event, some kind of see you there message would also be good. Afterwards, you can talk about what happened, how it went, one of your colleagues, maybe someone you're collaborating with, just to kind of link up with them. So a small post shared by someone, liked by a few people, can be seen by potentially thousands of people. So that's really good for your profile and your network. So definitely something that I would recommend doing. All right, and that is everything from me. I'm just going to stop sharing the screen. Thank you very much.